Being Saved with Reverend Kerrene. We started on an acronym, L.I.F.E, Life, as a way to remember how to live saved in this world. We have the letter L, which stands for Lean on the Lord. We have the letter I, which stands for Identify with the Lord. Today we have the letter F, which stands for Follow the Spirit wherever He goes. And for that text, we're coming from the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, beginning at verse 4 and reading through verse 14. As I looked, I saw a great storm coming from the north, driving before it a huge cloud that flashed with lightning and shone with brilliant light. There was a fire inside of the cloud, and in the middle of the fire glowed something like gleaming amber. From the center of the cloud came 4 living beings that looked human, except for that each had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight, and their feet had hooves like those of a calf, and shone like burnished bronze. Under each of their 4 wings I could see human hands. So each of the 4 beings had 4 faces and 4 wings. The wings of each living being touched the wings of the beings beside it. Each one moved straight forward in any direction without turning around. Each had a face of a human in the front, the face of a lion on the right side, the face of an ox on the left side, and the face of the eagle at the back. Each had 2 pairs of outstretched wings. One pair stretched out to touch the wings of the living beings on either side of it, and the other pair covered its body. And they went in whatever direction the Spirit chose, and they moved straight forward in any direction without turning. The living beings looked like bright coals of fire or brilliant torches, and lightning seemed to flash back and forth among them, and the living beings darted to and fro like flashes of lightning. That's Ezekiel chapter 1 verses 4 through 14. You probably already understand what's being said here, but just in case you don't, let's look at this as how to live saved in this world in a manner that will please God. Ezekiel has a vision, and it's going to be one, or it is one, that lasts him his entire existence. He sees the glory and he sees the presence of God. We're going to look at these faces, these living beings, because they're going to teach us how to live saved in this world. The first face that Ezekiel sees is the face of a man, and that face denotes willingness, voluntary choice. The human, natural, nothing out of the ordinary. He's just a regular Joe. There's nothing spectacular about him. He's just run-of-the-mill human being. The man who follows the Spirit wherever he goes is an ordinary person. For God doesn't look for the exceptional. He doesn't seek the best looking, the most intellectual, the most affluent, or the one that is the most materially successful. God doesn't look for the subpar. He doesn't seek the ugliest or the stupid one or the poor one. The one who follows the Spirit wherever he goes has that face of a man. He is willing to go. Beloved, if we're going to live saved, then the first thing that we must have is that human face, that human element that says, I'm willing to go wherever the Lord would want me to go. I'm willing to do whatever He wants me to do. Without that, then we lack the ability to follow the Spirit wherever He goes. We must make it a choice, a conscious choice that first, last, and always, I want to follow the Spirit wherever He may happens to lead me. It's His choice. It's the man's choice. And he exercises his free will, or we exercise our free will in choosing to go with the Spirit. if we're going to live saved, then we must make that choice. We must make the choice that even if the Spirit moves into a direction that I don't think I would like to go, I'm still going to go in that direction because I trust the Lord, because I believe in Him, and because that's the way the Spirit is leading. So I choose to do so. We freely possess that ability. The second face that Ezekiel sees is the face of a lion. Now the lion denotes courage and strength. The lion never turns back from any, and that's from Proverbs 30, verse 30. The one who follows the Spirit wherever he goes is fearless. He has courage. He knows that fear cannot be tolerated, because in fear the enemy has the advantage. Following the Spirit wherever he goes often means following alone. Family, friends, even church members, the saints of God, don't necessarily understand how, why, or where the Spirit is going. And it takes a person of courage to say, I know that you don't understand it, but I'm following the Spirit. You may say it doesn't take all that, but this is where the Spirit is leading me. And because He's leading me in this direction, I'm going to follow Him wherever He goes. It takes courage to stand up, to go against the crowd, against the popular sect, and to follow the Spirit wherever He goes. It takes courage to stand up before friends and before co-workers and not do what they do because it would not be pleasing to God. That takes courage, and it's one that we must have, that face of a lion, if we're going to follow the Spirit wherever He goes. Going against the popular takes courage. We can't be fearful of talk, of how people will perceive us. We can't be fearful of how it looks to other people. We can't be a coward if we're going to follow the Spirit wherever He goes. We must have courage. The man who follows the Spirit wherever he goes has strength. He's not weak in his spiritual life. He has obtained strength, or we have attained strength from spending time in prayer, in studying the Word, and in fasting. The one who follows the Spirit wherever he goes, the one who's living saved, who wants to live saved, knows that it's not enough to start with the Spirit. You have to continue with the Spirit. The one that's following the Spirit wherever he goes, he has learned that prayer isn't a quick thank you, praise you, love you, need you, see you later. He knows that strength, it has to come from prayer, a prayer life, not just corporate prayer, but life that has been spent praying on its own, an individual prayer life, a time that has been set aside just for God. He has learned that prayer is a time-consuming conversation. Beloved, if we're going to live saved, then having a prayer life, gathering the strength that's necessary to follow the Spirit wherever he goes, we're going to need that prayer. We're going to need that communication. We're going to need the strength that comes from prayer. Prayer isn't a 5-minute morning, 5-minute afternoon, 5-minute night with a few grace thrown in over meal kind of thing. It's not a monologue. The one who follows the Spirit wherever he goes, has discovered that the secret in prayer is that when you talk, when you pray, you talk, you listen, you meditate, you thank Him. Then you talk, you listen, you meditate, and then you thank Him. And then you talk, you listen, you meditate, and you thank Him. For the one who follows the Spirit wherever he goes, there is no rush. If we're going to live saved in this world, we cannot rush through prayer.